Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the King and I Life podcast, hosted by myself, So Touch of the Poet, and my brother in this joint.
Sun Soul Lex.
Yo. It's hot as hell up here in Maryland, man.
Miss Kimberly says send her a link.
Huh?
Miss Kimberly says send her a link.
Oh, wait a minute. All right, wait a minute. Well, entertain the people while I work on that.
Again, this is the King and I Life podcast. We just want to thank everybody for tuning in. For those of you who are already here and those of you who are coming. This week we got a good topic, I believe. But before we get to all that, if you guys would check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all of your major podcast platforms. We're also on YouTube.
Yes,
So, if you guys want to come on to the show, you want to be a guest, if you have ideas for a topic you would like for us to discuss, you can send that to our email at kingandeye369 at gmail.com. Again, that's kingandi369 at gmail.com. And again, we look forward to hearing from you. Again, we appreciate all the support we have been getting and continue to get. And again, we want to congratulate our t-shirt winners.
yes.
And by the way, your t-shirts look good on y'all. Look
Very
real
good, very good.
I can do some modeling and stuff.
Oh man, you got me out here looking crazy, man. Wait. Let me disable my camera right quick so I can get my life right. Hold the people down for a sec.
I got you. So, in the latest news, we hear that uh, Mr. Bill Cosby has been released or is going to be released. Something to that effect. That's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people were upset about that. I don't know why, but
Yes.
it is what it is.
Yeah, man. But before I respond to that, make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share to when you follow us on our platforms. But yeah, Bill Cosby was released today. I'm sure a lot of people happy, a lot of people mad. Uh, uh yeah, we can so much can be said about that topic, but I'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We do have some thoughts about that, though. We'll
Yes, we
discuss it
will.
later.
Yeah, we will. But anyway,
Without further
um,
ado.
like my man son Solek said, we got a pretty good topic today. Due to scheduling, the young lady that we supposed to have on today couldn't make it today, but we are definitely rescheduling that. So hopefully that'll happen next week. Um, so look forward to that.
Yes, indeed.
Um, what else you want to talk about before we jump into the topic?
Um, we got a few more things in the bag that we were working on. Again, we're still working on that website to bring our t-shirt line to you guys, and of course, we're still working on the mugs that my homie there showed you guys. Uh, was it last week or
Yeah,
the
yeah,
week for
yeah.
last?
Yeah, I showed off that mug last week.
Yeah, but we're still working on that. Um, and we got some more guys that are and some more guests, shall I say, that are going to be coming on. Again, we don't want to disclose those just yet, but we're looking forward to having those people on.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Ever looking forward to that. So, what else do I have? Man,
Oh
let's
yeah,
just
we got some more African American historical figures and places and events.
yes, we are coming back with that. I know we
Yes.
dropped the ball. Well, I know I dropped the ball because I had a goal of doing one every day in February, but that was overwhelming. I bit off more than I can chew. Whew. But we're gonna bring
Yeah.
that back to y'all
Yeah.
because I really enjoyed bringing them. I know Sun Solex enjoyed bringing them to you. I was definitely learning a lot, and I hope y'all was getting something from it too as well.
Definitely, definitely,
If y'all have
absolutely.
any particular figures or events or places that y'all have in mind that y'all want us to bring to y'all, drop them in the email, inbox us, text us, whatever the case may be, so we can bring that. You know, yeah. I mean, hey, and if you want to do one yourself, let us know. It's nothing like getting y'all voices involved as well, because we here for y'all and y'all are here for us. And again, thanks for all the support that y'all been giving us.
Yes, yes, definitely second that.
Yes. So, without further ado, today we are going to be talking about decriminalization of drugs. So, leading into that, drug use and abuse has plagued many communities for decades. It has been widely noted that the war on drugs has especially been disproportionate in minority communities. But the fact of the matter is that no community is immune to the effects of drugs. Um, with that being said, I have mixed feelings on decriminalization of drugs. Um, some aspects of it aggravate me very much. Um, and that's kind of where I stand on it. What about you?
Um, I feel like this, right? It goes to show that we've been fighting this war supposedly against drugs for, ever since I was old enough to recognize and realize what was going on with drug culture. Excuse me. But the thing about it is, this is the first time uh, a state here within our borders has actually stepped up and said, you know what, we're going in the wrong direction here. We're trying to fight something that we're clearly losing the battle on. So Oregon has stepped up and said, we are going to decriminalize drugs across the board in personal use quantities. I think it's a bold move. It's a very bold move. Will it work? I'm not sure. But if you look at, places like Amsterdam, that, they pretty much have decriminalized, certain drugs,
Hmm.
their problem is nowhere near what, it is over here.
Right.
So they may have been going in the right direction all along. Just let them do their thing, and what happens happens.
Wait a minute. We got something for y'all. Phoenix is back.
Hey, hey, hey! How's
What's
everybody
up?
doing?
We doing gravy. What's up with you?
Good, it's good. Everything's all right now. We getting it there anyway. Let
I
me
hear
That's
turn
that.
what's
some
up.
lights on.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Um,
Party
uh,
people, I have missed you
yeah.
all,
Hey,
especially my wonderful co-host.
you've been missed.
That's what's
Trust and
up. That's what's
believe.
up.
Trust and believe.
Hey, 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 let's do this. What we got up in here?
So the topic is decriminalization of drugs. Um, um,
We're, I was just giving my spiel about how Oregon has moved to make it legal across the board that people are allowed to have drugs in small quantities as long as it's personal use.
Right
So,
on, right on.
with that being the first state here within our borders, um, me and Soul Toucher, we were discussing how our thoughts and our feelings on it.
Hmm.
So, that being said, what are your thoughts?
but wait, before you
So,
before you jump in there,
okay.
um, because Sun Select said this is the first state in our borders that done this, right?
Mhm.
Well, we have to go back several decades to prohibition when alcohol and tobacco were like illegal. And
Right.
then,
Right.
they went through that whole thing with prohibition. And then, hey, they was like, hey, it's a losing battle, so we might as well make it legal. So let's keep that in mind when we
All right.
talking about this topic. So go ahead,
Gotcha.
Phoenix.
So I'm in Arkansas. Arkansas's finicky about what they get on board with and what they don't get on board with. Um, Not so much as, making it legal to have the drug. Arkansas is one of those states that depends on who has the drug
Oh Lord.
as to what charges are levied against them. Now, what I will say is, for a very long time, here in Arkansas, cops have not been taking people in for marijuana. If it's under a gram, they just don't bother with it. And they've been
Mm-hmm.
doing it for a very long time. Other drugs, I'm gonna say it like this. It pretty much depends on who is mainly on it. For a long time, meth users got a slap on a wrist, and so did meth dealers because they were predominantly white here.
Mm-hmm.
Meth has taken over in all communities in Arkansas at this point.
Oh
Black,
wow.
white, Asian, it's everywhere. So they had to get a little tougher because now it affects more than just their community.
Mm-hmm.
So and the opioid epidemic, I have an issue with that because when crack was flooded into black communities, we were criminals. We were demonized. But
Mm-hmm.
these white people, because opioids it has been a predominantly white thing. It's, oh, they're sick, they need help. Oh, this drug is out of control. Uh, so I see a lot of softness to certain drugs, whereas if somebody is still smoking crack, they're still a demon. It's still very, very much punishable by football numbers around here.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Whereas if you are a meth user or if you are an opioid addict, they try to get you help.
Mm-hmm.
I think that something needs to be done, not necessarily to decriminalize drugs, but to make it an even playing field for everyone. Um, like I said, I can only speak of what I see here in my communities. And I know a young man who was dealing meth. He wasn't caught with very much, but he was black. They gave him 22 years. White dude dealing meth, caught with way more than the black boy. He got 6 months probation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I live in a place where it's obvious. Like it's obvious the difference that is played, and people try to play the whole, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it's not bad until it's in your backyard. I see brazen drug drug users do some of the most unthinkable things. So I don't think that it needs to be decriminalized. I think that if we go in with everybody needs the help to try to kick the habit, more so than this percentage needs help and this percentage needs jail. And then even if you're sending them to jail, we need to put a program in there to help them. Um, Drug dealers are going to be drug dealers because they don't have an opportunity to do anything else.
Oh Lord,
Because
I
once
agree with
you're a
that.
felon,
Oh, well,
you're always a felon. You can't really, the system isn't designed for you to actually redeem yourself and progress. So
No.
you're going to have to feed your family, or you got to eat. So you're going to go back out there and you're going to do the same thing. I call drug drug dealers turnstiles. That's what the system has set them up to be. You do your time, you get out, we give you nothing and no help and no resources. You do exactly what you did the first time and you bring your butt right back in here because we profit from you. It's all a profit. And everybody that's sitting behind these nice big glass walls pulling the strings are saying, oh, well, we can't decriminalize it because we need the criminals, because we need the money, because blah 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 blah. Again, I don't think it needs to be decriminalized so much so as the punishment and the help needs to be distributed evenly.
Well, we definitely gonna get into a lot of that. Katrina says, "Welcome back, Phoenix. You've been missed."
Oh, thank you, Katrina. I missed you guys
So
too.
yeah, so let's get into this. So decriminalization by definition, basically is not arresting people for the use or possession of small amounts of narcotics that are intended for personal use, as was previously stated. 1.5 million arrests made for possession, and it's mostly poor people and people of color. Um, to that, yes, it happens to a lot of people of color. Yes, it happens to a lot of poor people. Um, by percentage, uh, as far as poor people, we are a small percentage. Um, when it comes to people of color, uh, in the grand scheme of things of the entire population, we are a small percentage, but we seem to get the unfair treatment in it. Um, though I will agree with you that decriminalization is not. I don't think that's the answer. But we'll get more into that as we go on. So, as far as the definition and what I just put out there, what do y'all have as far as input on that?
Say hi.
What's up,
This
dude?
is my son.
What's up? What's up?
He's not here. I'm in the middle of my podcast, so you can go back out. I love you.
Uh,
Podcast. Unless you give my equipment back since you don't use it.
I do use it. Go. I'll be
So,
back
what do
in a
y'all
minute.
as far as what I threw out there already? What do y'all have on that?
Um,
I'll say as far as people, having enough for their own personal use. Um, Me, I'm totally against drugs. Even anything made in a lab, I'll put it to you like that. I feel like it, if it's not helping you to the extent that it's not, having the side effects, then, I'm totally against it. But, for whatever reason, people feel like they need it to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, More so, some people with mental illnesses. Um, if it serves a purpose and it does something to help you without harming you, which is very rare, then hey, do your thing. But overall, I don't see the benefit of it, especially when it comes down to recreational use. Marijuana or weed, again, it's grown naturally. It just when they start taking it and putting stuff to it and taking certain stuff out, that's when I think you kind of miss the whole point of having it.
Yeah.
yeah.
As far as
So go ahead.
go
I
ahead.
didn't mean no. Go ahead. So
As far as people who are in of color or poor areas who use it, um, I don't. I fault them, but I don't fault them. And the reason I say that is because when you see so much craziness going on around you, um, as far as like people being killed, all the injustices that are happening, I kind of get why people want an escape from what they perceive
mhm,
to be reality.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say I kind of get it, but I don't get it.
mm. I have a two part. So it's always um, enough for personal use. But who are we to tell somebody what amount of personal use that they need? I mean, like,
Right.
I
Yes.
mean,
So true.
like for me, when I had to go to the dentist, they gave me medicine and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna give you this many milligrams because this is gonna knock you out." No, this ain't doing nothing for me. Like I have a high tolerance. That's why I don't mess with pills because I don't want to be strung out because I know I got to take more than the average bear to get some relief.
Mhm.
Right.
But that's for one. It's crazy to me that we can say, well, for me, it only takes 2 Tylenol. So it takes 2 Tylenol for everybody else. So that's what personal use is going to be, 2 Tylenol. We can't do that. We don't know. So it's crazy to say enough for personal use. If I want to snort up a whole bag of coke for myself in 24 hours, you can't tell me I can't do that. My body might tell me that, but you can't tell me that. Like, it's crazy that we say stuff like that.
I can't take it right now.
Yeah,
Yo.
that is
Like,
Why?
true.
Why you gotta come back with this nonsense?
it's like, but I mean, how much is personal use? Like, for real, like, personal use can't be universal for everybody. You just can't say that. So under a gram is personal use. But what if I want 2 grams? Because what if I snort up a gram by lunch, but then I need another gram at about 7 o'clock? You know, it helps me escape
Oh,
my reality or
man.
whatever. That's the craziness. But also, there are natural things that will hmm, poppy seeds. You
Mm.
know, poppy seeds aren't legal here because poppy seeds will get you higher than meth, higher than coke. It will get you high. It's very natural, but it's very harmful too. So
Mm.
there's a fine line between if it's natural, yeah, it's cool to go ahead and indulge in it. Um, and if it's man-made, you shouldn't mess with it. My biggest thing is I've seen more murders and more violence with people that are just on alcohol,
Mm.
but it's very legal. And
Good point.
there is no, well, you have a personal use
Personal
limit.
use.
You don't, you can go and buy as much liquor as you want. You can have, as long as it's not open, you can have a whole bar in your vehicle and get pulled over and they'll just be like, where's the party at? But if I get pulled over and I got 2 grams of weed, oh no, that ain't for personal use. You finna sell that. I don't know who the hell is buying 2 grams of weed, but hey, I'm just saying,
Oh,
it's just
man.
crazy to me how alcohol is legal, but other things that literally will help you. And the reason I say that is because I have been with cancer patients. Like,
Mhm.
um, I just I literally just came from burying my sister-in-law today, and she had cancer, and she had a very rare form of cancer, and it was painful. And she would not. The doctors kept saying, smoke. She didn't have an appetite or anything. The doctor was telling her literally, I'm going to write you a prescription so you can smoke some weed. And she refused. I don't
Mm.
want no drugs. I don't want to put no drugs. But at the same time, you taking these damn pain pills that they giving you. It's a drug. The hell? I
Yeah.
just couldn't wrap my mind around that. But it's the
Oh, man.
stigmatism that we have on certain things that people cannot get past.
Mm.
I know other cancer patients that smoked it. They eat edibles and they don't have all of that pain. They're not constantly suffering. So I see the benefits of marijuana. I actually live it and I see it.
Mhm.
For me to sit here and say I've never tried marijuana, I would be a lying hypocrite. I've tried it. Me myself personally, I don't like the way I feel whenever I smoke. It's a no for me. I tried an edible and I said it didn't do anything for me, and I was sitting in my living room talking about I'm ready to go home. That ain't for me. I was
Mm.
already at home talking about I want to go home. that ain't for me. So I was like, you know what?
Mm,
I'm gonna stick to
man.
what I usually take, and that is Tylenol and water because my system isn't equipped for things like that. Doesn't work for me.
Mm,
I
mm,
have an uncle who is constantly in pain. They gave him a prescription for medical marijuana. He can sleep through the night now.
mm.
Sleeps just fine now. It take it. The crazy thing is, we have a war on drugs, but we have a war on the drugs that they introduced to us.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
don't
Very
understand
good
how
point.
you
Very good
brought
point.
this here and then you criminalized it. You you can't tell me that we don't see as a people that this was an agenda. I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
this and I'm gonna flood this into neighborhoods, but then I'm gonna make it illegal. And I don't care what nobody say. Marijuana was illegal for so long because they could not figure out how to capitalize on it. But now that they can,
Wait a minute.
now that they
Mm.
can, now it's all good. You know how many people that I know are sitting in jail with crazy, crazy years for just marijuana? And the
Mm.
audacity to now, oh, now we gonna sell it. Are we overturning convictions? Are we giving these people jobs? Because let's be honest, they know it inside now. No,
Mm.
we're not doing those things.
You getting ahead of the program.
My bad. Let's reel it back.
Really bad. So let's jump into the public health aspect of it, because we
Public
definitely
health.
going to touch on what you just said in a few. So as far as the public health aspect of it,
Get my
they,
notes.
especially in Oregon, they're looking at this as that the potential for this decriminalizing it, an increased uptake into treatment and recovery services. Caveat to that is there's going to be an increase in healthcare cost. Um, so my thing is this: you decriminalize it, and it's okay for it. Let's talk about Oregon first, since they like decriminalizing everything. So now you got more people using meth. You got people using heroin, cocaine, hash, whatever under the sun, and so you think this is going to encourage them to go get treatment because they're not going to get criminal charges. They may get a fine or a citation, but this is supposedly to encourage them to go get treatment. What are y'all thoughts on that part alone?
I, hmm. First of all, you don't have more people doing it. You just have more people doing it out in the open.
That part too.
True that.
um, it's not. You're not gonna get an uptake of. I mean, you can legalize all that crap right now. And if that ain't your cup of tea and that ain't what you do, you ain't gonna be like, oh, let me go try a line of meth. Let me see what that's like today.
Right.
So it's people that are already doing it that now feel comfortable that they don't have to hide it. And the
Right.
Okay.
problem with
Yeah.
drugs is if I don't view me as having a problem, I'm not seeking help.
True.
So their theory is flawed because you're not going to get help until you feel like you need help. And if I've been functioning under the radar doing this for this long of time, I don't have a problem. You know what I hear most drug users say? Oh, it ain't controlling me. I got control. I can stop whenever I want.
Mm,
Lies and deceit.
good point.
Yeah.
Lies and deceit. So until they have that real moment with themselves that they need help, whether it's illegal or legal, they're not going to go asking for help. Period.
True.
That's just my 2 wooden nickels on the subject.
So Lex, what you got on that?
Yeah, I just have to piggyback off of that, man. I feel like the people who, like Phoenix was saying, that want to indulge in it, they will. The ones who feel, that that's not their scene or they don't get down like that, they're not going to partake in it.
Mhm.
And again, the third part of that is the ones who have been hiding it for so long. Now they can kind of come out of the closet on it. You know what I mean? So um,
Mhm.
it's just one of those things where, again, it's by it being more, I guess you can say, in the public's eye or more accessible to a certain extent, you
Hmm.
may have some people who, you know, may be influenced, as
Yeah.
they say, to dibble and dabble. But again, for the most part, I don't think people who, you know, don't get down like they're just not going to gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing that I was thinking of, um, when Phoenix was talking about that, yes, you'll have more people comfortable out there doing it, and it may be decriminalized across the board. Like right now, marijuana is decriminalized in a lot of places. Um, that doesn't just because it's decriminalized out there, that doesn't apply to federal employees, the military,
Right.
law enforcement, and people who have those type of jobs. So I think decriminalizing it will encourage those individuals to probably use it more openly, even though they know they can't use it openly. But just to know that you can carry it in your pocket or in your bag or whatever, a certain amount, and you're not going to go to jail for it. I think that will encourage them to do that more. um
True.
and that in itself is going to cause a certain degree of problems, because even though this doesn't apply to military, federal employees, and the such, some of them might get bold and be like, well, shit, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on this because it's decriminalized, but why not?
Yeah, but you have to also look. 90% of those people are worried about their image. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much decriminalization you do, it still looks bad in other people's eyes. And they're not willing to choose to climb down off that pedestal that everybody else looks at them at. So
Right.
True.
those are the ones that are gonna keep hiding and keep lying about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, one day I might be like, you know what? They done pissed me off today. I'm gonna stop by the dope man. And I'm gonna get me a baggie, and But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hide it the best way I can, just in case, because I can't afford to, because I am a federal employee, or I'm a deacon at the church, or I
Right.
cannot have my community knowing that I have this, because no
Hmm.
matter how much it, oh well, the police can't charge you. What is the one thing that will crumble anybody? Your community
Pride.
charging you, your
Yes, pride, your
community
image,
charging you,
all that.
your
So true.
image. Not There's not very many people that I know that is willing to let that image crumble. I mean,
Mm,
from streets in the middle of the hood to Wall Street, people worried about their reputation. In the hood,
mm,
it might be, I don't want to look soft, so I'm gonna crack this dude in the head with a twisted tea can. Or
mm.
but in Wall Street, I don't want to look like an addict that can't handle myself, so I can't get caught with this. It doesn't matter how little it is, I can't get caught with this drug, even though there's no crime
Right.
attached to it. I still don't want to be known as Mr. Sniffy around my community because I got a pack of drugs. Like, it's
Mr.
just
Sniffy.
it's just
Oh
you.
man.
I guess it's our pride, it's our ego, it's our vanity that is not going to
Hmm.
let most of us do it, no matter what happens. We're not
Right.
going to be willing to be caught with it,
Right.
if that
Yeah.
makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on, they also they also want to say that it's possible that there can be lower overdose rates. Um but on the flip side of that, illicit use of it is going to be an increased use of illicit drugs. Um, Me personally, I'm not a drug user, dealer, abuser, or anything like that. But just me standing out on the sober side, I'm
Hmm.
looking at this like I don't understand how it's going to be uh, lower overdose rates when as you were saying, I might need a gram, 7 o'clock in the morning. By maybe noon, 7 o'clock, and I need another gram. What's going to stop these people from, in their drug induced brain? All right, I got 5 grams in the house. I'm gonna go around the corner, smoke this gram with my homies, and then I'm a
Mm-hmm.
zombie walk back to the house to get the other gram, and it's like there's no crime, attached to it. So I mean, me personally, I don't see lower overdose rates. I just
Right.
don't see it.
So here in Arkansas, we have I can't think of the young man's name. We have a law here that
Hmm.
if you're doing drugs and somebody ODs, you can call for help and you don't face any criminal charges. No matter how high you are, no matter what paraphernalia you may have, it is all about saving a life. There's a dude here that OD'd and drowned all of these people, and nobody called because everybody was high. They watched him die.
Wow.
So here in Arkansas, we have a law that protects people.
Mm.
If somebody is overdosing, call. That law, that law helps prevent overdosing. So many tweakers here. We call them tweakers. I don't mean to offend anybody. That's just what we say. The tweakers.
Hmm.
So many tweakers here have called 911, flag cops down. Hey, we back here over here in this abandoned house. So and so then got too much. They ODing. Our OD rates have decreased so much since that law has been passed.
Oh
Because
wow.
because people know I'm not going to get in trouble for being high. I'm not going to get in trouble
Mm.
for having a pipe in my pocket. All they going to say is, "Hey, where they at? Do you want help? You don't want help? Thank you for calling," and they go and tend to what they need to do. I think if we put things into place like that, the overdose rate will go down. Not because
Mm.
I'm able to, not because it's like I guess if you decriminalize, it's kind of the same thing. So yeah, it'll probably help with the overdose rate in that aspect because I'm not afraid to call for help. I'm
Mm.
not even afraid to
Okay.
call for help if I OD. Oh
Mm.
Lord, I done had 3 grams. I thought I had 2. Let me call 911. Hey, y'all need to bring that pen because I done messed up.
Mm.
It's just in that aspect, yeah, I agree. I
Mm.
agree that if it's not a crime for me to call for help for my buddy that has OD'd, then I'm going to be more comfortable making that call. So yeah, I can see that helping because it's helped here in Arkansas. It's
Mm.
the Casey Anthony law, something like that. I can't remember.
Mm.
Steven, I don't know. That little boy OD'd and all his friends watched. Ask him
Wow.
why. Oh, and by the way, those friends did get a charge because they watched him
Wow.
die. They did get a charge. But when they asked, why didn't you call for help? They said, because we were high and we didn't want to get in trouble. So
Mm.
our legal system here was like, well, let's fix that because we don't need that to happen again. So
Mm.
that's been a law here for some years now. And like I said, it really has helped with the OD rate here. So I think that's a good thing.
Mm.
But not decriminalized. I'm just not with the decriminalizing of it at
Mm.
all. Because what I think you're opening the door for is more violence.
Sounds so Lex.
Um, I'll say if it lowers the rate, I'm all for it. I mean, because again, just sitting there and watching somebody die because your ass is scared to catch some time behind it or some charges behind it, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. I
And
understand,
ass got some charges anyway.
but at the end of the day, if this person's supposed to be your friend, you really
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be too concerned about that.
Right.
Um,
That part.
Right.
but as far as the part of there being more crime and everything that comes with that, I would have to disagree on that part.
Okay.
And the reason I feel like I have to disagree on that is because people are gonna steal and rob and do whatever the hell they want to do if that's their mind frame. If they want to get high, whether it's legal or illegal, they're still gonna do it.
Right.
I mean, I can't tell you how many people I know who actually stole from their loved ones, meaning mothers, fathers, sisters,
Mhm.
brothers,
Cousins.
whatever the case. Yeah, because they want to get high.
Right. So this is what I mean. Let me clarify when I say more crime. I don't know how it is with anybody else, but you ever been like, you ever see somebody that's like tuning up to start their bull crap, and you know they high or whatever, and they know they high, and you be like, I'm about to call the cops, and they automatically clutch down a little bit because they don't want to
Hmm.
go to jail. They don't want to charge. They don't want to deal with the police. So if I know I'm not going to get in trouble for this, I'm not going to slow down. I'm not going to clutch down. I'm 110 full speed ahead because
Mm.
I'm high and I know now it's not a crime for me to do this. I'm going to show my natural black ass. I'm hanging from the rafters. I'm busting people in the head. Okay, call the cops. So what? Most
Mm.
people right now, because it is a crime, when you be like, all right, sit your high ass down, I'm about to call the law, they be like, you know what? You got that. You got that. I'm going on, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna give me a bump or two and I'm gonna mind my business.
Oh, wow.
Because the threat of jail still scares even the most hardened drug user. They don't want to go to jail. So if you take that threat of jail away, that threat of time away, what is, they have no more threshold. They have no safety gate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't have
Yeah.
that safety gate because what's gonna happen? If I go through this gate and I do all of this stuff, what's gonna happen to me? Oh, I know, nothing. They gonna moonwalk through that shit and they gonna tear some stuff up. That's what's gonna happen.
Mm.
Very good point.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Um,
soul toucher.
I just don't see. I personally don't see low overdoses. I don't see it. Um, I just don't see it because if it's decriminalized or like y'all have in Arkansas, hey, we got high over here, and we'll call 911 for some help or whatever the case may be. I honestly don't see. I mean, that to me that's just carte blanche to hey, let's get it in. And you know, let's say you in a group of 3 or 4 people and everybody got a gram. Hey, it's legal for us to carry a gram. Um, let's this one person that takes half a gram to get high and a whole gram to go over the top. Let's pour it all in and mix it with this, mix it with that. I don't see it lowering overdose rates unless this person has been functioning on this whatever substance for the longest time and they don't go past their threshold. And I don't know. I,
You leaving?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I
Um,
love you too. Hold on one second. Give me a second.
yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So, HIV and other infectious diseases declining. I I don't know. I don't know about that one. Because you make drugs illegal, the infection of spreading HIV and other, sexually transmitted disease going down. If anything, I think that will go up.
Well, it's not necessarily sexually transmitted diseases. You have to look at this. uh jokers who be pushing the needle and sharing needles, dirty needles, and this,
Mm-hmm.
that, and other, they get
True, true.
HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, and all this other stuff. Now, you decriminalize these drugs, and what's going to stop them from sharing needles? If they are drug
Just so
addicts, like straight
disgusting.
up drug addicts, and they're not using this to get, this is not pushing them to go get treatment, this, that, and other. They just sitting back saying themselves when they come down off their high, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna get in trouble for carrying this, that, and the other. I can do this and do that. I guess as long as you're not doing it in front of a cop, it's all good. But I don't see how that's going to make HIV and other infectious diseases decline. Um,
I don't
like
think it's going to make that decline. I think it's probably going to ramp that up, actually.
I think so too. So like like I'm on the COVID-19 task force, and we was in Baltimore City a couple weeks ago, and like I was telling Son Solex, we had Baltimore City cops on this block. We had uh Maryland Transit Authority police on the other side of the street and in the subway, but you had people who were high, drug users and abusers, like you can tell they were high, walking
Mhm.
all around the block. Some of them coming to get vaccines and this, that, and the other. So I know in Baltimore they're not um, arresting for possession of small amounts of marijuana. I don't know about the other drugs, but if I can sit in Baltimore City and see these people on these drugs walking around freely, high, leaning, slobbing, and all this other stuff, and you can tell they're high, I don't know why they think that this is going to decrease HIV and other infectious diseases because, um, of course, a lot of places was doing the clean needle program.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the clean needle program was to help lower the amount of drugs and infectious disease and this, that, and the other. Uh, and if anything, you just sustain the use of drugs. So I don't know.
My thing is, yes, it's sustaining the use of drugs, but it goes back to if I can't get the drug addict under control, let me get the things that sharing needles and all of that, let me get that under control, because the fact of the matter is, if 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 you're a drug user, you being a drug user and being around me isn't going to make me be a drug user. But if you catch a disease that is communicable, you affect me at that point.
Hmm.
So let me contain what I can contain and work on the rest as we go. I think that was the ideal behind the Clean Needle initiative, because the thing is, we can say a million times, oh, well, I wouldn't sleep with this person, or oh, I wouldn't do that, but we really don't know who been sleeping with who.
Right.
And there are so many drug dealers that will not admit that they still sleep with drug addicts to this day.
Mm.
It's dangerous. So let me see if I can put a little bit of a barrier between HIV, because if you're a drug user, you're going to kill yourself. But if you have HIV and you infect someone and they infect someone and then they infect you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm.
That part is what I think that the Clean Needle initiative or anything like that is trying to slow down, because HIV affects a whole lot of people. I mean, drug use does too, but when it comes to dying from it, it's the drug user, not others in the community, and it doesn't reach as far.
Right.
But if you have a disease that is spreadable, I need to curb that. So I feel like those are the things that we really do need, because drug addiction is one of the most powerful things in this world. Because what people fail to realize is 90% of people that are on drugs or that are alcoholics have found peace in that.
Mm.
And they don't want to let that peace go.
Mm.
For whatever they may be going through, they are running to that drug or they are running to that drink. And the truth of the matter is, we all want peace. We all want it. And some of us are so tortured mentally and emotionally that the only time we have peace is when we are high out of our minds or drunk in a stupor.
Mm.
And until we can fix that, we're going to have a problem with drugs and alcohol. So we have to
Mm.
figure out how to curb it from going in things.
Mm. I guess.
Yeah, that's. I never thought about it like that. The way I looked at it was, they just don't want to face reality. But
They
hearing you
don't.
say they want peace,
Hmm.
that puts in a whole new light for me.
Yep. They want
Um,
peace. The peace that we have is not easy for some people. Some people have been through things
Mm,
that they don't want to face because it is so painful and it has broken them to the point where it mentally and physically and emotionally is a pain that they can't deal with without something helping them.
mm.
And who are we to judge?
Hey, I ain't judging them, but when it comes to stuff like that, um, I don't want you around me. So yeah, I can't have you around me like that.
I
yeah,
understand that. I understand that.
Because I don't want to see that, especially if it's to the point where you out there using dirty needles and stuff, and you getting hepatitis, HIV, and this, that, and other. You can't be in my presence. You can't be in my house. You can't be in my car. Nah, nah. Just no, no,
And that
no.
is your choice. And because I've worked with them and I've listened to them, when they love someone, they family and stuff, they want to be sober. They want to be clean. But again, it's that peace that they need, but also
Mm,
it's compounded because now they're hooked. It's a
yeah.
dependency. They are hooked. But then I was looking for peace and I found it in the bottle and I found it in the needle. But now look at how I am, and now I'm being shunned by the people that I love the most.
Mm,
So that's another pain. That's
yeah.
just another pain. So I'm gonna crawl
Self-induced.
deeper. I'm gonna crawl deeper into that addiction. So when I'm trying to crawl out of that addiction, the smallest thing is gonna set me back every time.
Mm.
wow.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
it's a
that's
hard thing to watch and it's a hard thing to listen to. And I hear so many people be like, oh, you need to get your life together. Oh, you need to. It ain't that easy.
shit. That's why I said I got mixed thoughts on
Yeah,
this whole thing. But
yeah, it's really not
my
that easy.
my mixed thoughts on this go into a different conversation. So I want to stay on topic with this one.
I must say this. I'm not a big drinker. I have wine here and there. I don't mess with drugs because there are some hurts that I'm still trying to heal, and I'm scared I'll find peace in those things.
Mm,
So I know I'm strong enough mentally to tell myself that might not be something you need to be messing with. I'm strong enough to tell myself the peace that I seek is not in there. It's not
Right.
there. I have to figure this out. I got to figure out where I can get sober peace. Because if
damn,
I
man, I got
crawl
too
in a
much to
bottle,
lose.
yeah, if I crawl in a bottle, I might not ever crawl out of it.
Mm, mm,
If I put a needle, if I snort something, I might not ever come back from that. And I look at the things around me, and people used to ask me all the time, "Why you work with them addicts? Why you be dealing with them addicts?" And I'm like, every single person has a story,
yeah, they
every
do.
one of them. And
Yeah, they
some of
do.
the things that I listen to are some of the things that I'm still trying to wrap my mind around. Why did this and that happen and blah blah blah. And I've heard them say, "I just want to be numb. I don't want to
Mm,
feel it. I don't want to think about it. I just want to be numb." And that's why I say that's their peace, because
mm,
they don't have to think about it. They don't have to feel it. They are at peace,
mm.
at perfect
Yeah,
peace.
that's a topic for a different um
7:25.
segment. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they say public health. Are we over public health?
Now we got one.
Oh.
So the other thing is, dr- would drug use, abuse, and addiction be considered a pre-existing condition? And we have to point that out
Ooh.
because if treatment, if they're banking on an increasement in treatment and recovery, that's going to be a bigger expense on the healthcare system. So due to the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, pre-existing conditions are non-factor. But when you throw that in there as a pre-existing condition, how does that work with the healthcare system? I mean, you're going to bankrupt the healthcare system to me with that.
I don't know about that one. I feel like um that's a tough one, King. That's a tough one. Um if someone's already been high, I mean, how do you even determine or
But
even
I mean,
categorize that? You know what I
of
mean?
course,
Like,
drug addiction, that's a pre-existing condition because it's something you're in. I'm in an addiction. I'm not a recovering. I'm actually in an addiction. So it's pre-existing, but I understand what you're saying. I really, really do. Um, I think that it should. My solution is I don't think that it should be overlooked if they are being forced to get the care.
Mm.
If they truly have hit rock bottom and they are done and they are ready for a change, by all means. But 78% of drug addicts and alcohol abusers are court ordered to rehabs and to get treatment.
Yeah.
It's a waste because they're not there. They're only doing it because you're making them do it. That is a complete waste of money and treatment
Yeah. And that
because they
falls
don't
on
want
the
it.
taxpayer. A-
Exactly.
And then these people who end up overdosing or this, that, and the other, that goes to the healthcare system. And, even though a lot of people out there qualify for the Affordable Care Act, there are a lot of people who won't even sign up for it.
you know,
So, I mean, when it comes down to that, you got to take that into effect. And I think that, when you look at it from that angle, I think it's going to be taxing on the healthcare system.
I mean, the thing about it is we're paying either way.
Right.
We're paying either way because whether it comes down to the judicial system, whether it comes down to hospitals, hospital bills, ambulances, all that stuff we pay for anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um, I
I
think it's a
think,
good thing if people would, like they say, volunteer for it. But like
yeah,
Finney was saying, if you're not ready for it, you're just not ready for it.
that's just it. Uh, and another thing, kind of off topic about the healthcare, we have one of the richest countries here. Healthcare shouldn't be an issue for anybody.
But it is.
Exactly. I just that just still just is a thorn in my side about that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is. There's no
Um,
reason that everybody shouldn't have some health care.
mm,
It's just none. But anyway, I digress. Um, if an addict doesn't want help and you force them to get it, they're going to do it. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to not complete the program. So it's wasted money and resources. And 10 times out of 10, as soon as they are done with the program, they're going to go right back to doing what they were doing. So again, it's a complete waste of time and resources. And it's stupid to me.
yeah.
Once you really understand addiction, it's like anything else. It's like love and any other drug. Until you get tired and you ready to change, ain't nothing nobody can say or do to make you leave it alone.
Heck no.
Mm, yeah. So let's talk about the economic effects of this. Um, so we mentioned prohibition before, which was,
Mm-hmm.
more geared towards tobacco and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in legalizing that, they found a way to make money off of that with taxes and stuff like that.
Yep.
Right.
They've done the same thing with uh, marijuana. Now, with decriminalizing, like let's say Oregon again, they decriminalize all these drugs, what's to stop them from doing the same thing with cocaine, hash, crack, heroin, ecstasy, all this other stuff? Now,
Absolutely nothing.
now what you have done is probably made the drug dealers go out of business, but you made this a legalized business which have special taxes that are high as hell and this, that, and the other. um what you're going to say now, you got to have a prescription to get cocaine and all this other shit. Like, I mean, where does it go? I mean, or since, oh, you can carry this for, for possession in your own personal use, this, that, and the other. I guess the drug dealer's going to carry 1 gram and have the other 60 grams in the corner somewhere. And, I'm just going to have 1 gram on me. I'm going to sell this gram, run back, go get another one. So it's like,
Right.
yeah, what we
Well,
doing here?
it's gonna be nothing is stopping them from doing it, but the drug dealers are never gonna go out of business. Just like weed is legal, you got to have a
True,
prescription
true,
for it.
true,
But the thing is, because they have it taxed so high, the average addict can't afford that. They
true.
still need they still
Mhm.
need smack toting Sam in the alley, because he's going to give you 2 bumps for $80, and when you go into that government establishment, you getting a half of a bump for $200.
So true.
You economically, you always have the low man on the totem pole. And at the beginning of this, you said that poor people and blacks are 90% of the
Mhm.
population that do drugs. Last I checked, poor people didn't have no money, and blacks, most of us can't get a foot in the door
Well,
to
it's
to
poor
do
people and blacks
to do
that
bigger.
are just disproportionately affected by it, not doing it the most.
Exactly.
But I mean,
We are disproportionately affected by it because it is in our neighborhoods. This is I'm going to tell you right now. When you see, and I'm assuming that we've all lived in the city. I know Soul Toucher has. Sunso X, you lived in the city, right?
Yeah.
When you see the drug transactions and stuff, who comes into those neighborhoods to buy drugs?
I see a lot of Caucasians and other people other
Ex-
than black people. I'll be honest with you.
exactly. Because when I always tell people, if you ask a white person, where's the best place to eat? Oh, Mama Mabel's up the street. Where's the best place to buy drugs? In the hood.
mm,
So I'm saying that because we are affected by it more because it is designed that way. It is designed for them to be so terrified, because which I really think was a structural setup. We'll put it over here in the hood and in the alleys, and that way white people be too scared to go over there and get a drug. But we can get these other people, these other people strung out, and we'll do it this way. But once that monkey get on your back, you don't care where you got to go to get a fix. So
Hell
many
no, you don't care.
affluent white people were driving their Mercedes and their BMWs and all of that into the hood to get high. So when we say it disproportionately affects us, it's for two reasons. We're miserable because of whatever's going on in life, and those are the ones that do drugs. We're selling them because it's a fast buck, and those rich white people are spending big dollars with drug dealers. I tell you what, if drug dealers would band together and buy the block, I guarantee you they would have them drugs up out of our neighborhood so fast we wouldn't know what hit us.
that's because they wouldn't be able to tax it. They would have to take. They would definitely have to put a tax structure in place. But I mean,
Exactly, but they
that's
also
the thing
don't
with
want us to really
legalizing it.
have anything.
When they legalize it, um, decriminalize it. and stuff like that, like they did weed, they get the big taxes, off of that. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
They do.
again, if they
But
do this
you
across the board with these other drugs, it's like, okay, so I'm interested how that tax structure works and how the government is going to profit off of those.
those are gonna have to be the affluent white people. Because again, the middle class and the poor, they don't have the money to go. So I'm gonna say this because my brother has a medical marijuana card. When he goes into the store to buy let's just put it in perspective. So it's $300 for the doctor visit to see if you qualify. It's $250 for your card. And every single time you go in there with your prescription, you have to pay it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're only allowed but so much. But when you go in there, example, an eighth. You go in there and you need an eighth. It's way more than the street value of it. Like my brother literally is like, I would rather go down the street over so and so's and cop some because when I go into these dispensaries, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much it costs. For what, $65, he gets a an oil probably about that big,
Mm.
and it's $65. And it's also almost half of his prescription. Just that little $65 vial. When I can go get um a QP from Tyrone down the street for 75 and I can roll blunts for 5 days.
Mm.
I don't think that it's ever going to be a issue economically as far as they can get it all sewed up. They'll never be able to sew it up
No.
because it's
No, they
just
won't be
so
able to sew it
expensive.
up. But the thing about it is, I mean, if you decriminalize weed, let's not even talk about weed because that's already done.
Yeah,
Right.
When you
we're talking about
decriminal
this other stuff.
when you decriminalize the rest of this stuff, at some point, they're gonna have to make their money back. The
Mm-hmm.
government I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious how that looks.
I think we need to look at the things that go into to making it, for one. And I think that it's so expensive to make most of these man-made drugs like ecstasy and meth and ice. So in order for them to be able to make their money back, the prices will have to be sky high
On the raw materials.
on the raw materials. So I don't think it's anything that they're going to figure out how to do to have a gain anytime in the near future. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Look how long it took them to figure out how to tax weed. And that's just growing a plant. Now you got to hire these mixologists to mix up crank and all of this other stuff. And the raw materials of it is just, they're not going to be able to gain. In my opinion, I don't think they'll be able to gain, and especially not quickly. So I don't think they'll touch it. The government is all about making a quick dollar. They the biggest drug dealers I know.
Mm.
Second that. My thing about it is I don't think they will take it to that extreme simply because they'll have to compete with mom and pops.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Like anybody who's lived in the hood or been in the hood before, we always know where the damn bootlegger house is.
Right.
Hello.
You can go there to get your damn hair done, the nails done, to get your damn
You get a drink and a bump,
okay.
all for
So
$85.
Mm.
They got bundles at the mom and
yeah,
pops.
they can't compete with the local level, man, because the local drug dealers, they're not going to take kindly to somebody trying to open up a store in their neighborhood, meaning take the food out of their mouths.
Exactly.
So there's always going to be some type of pushback, I believe. I could be wrong, but
And let's just be honest. Where do we get a majority of these drugs from that they got on the streets now? It's not Tyrone them ain't got it.
no, no,
Julio
Tyrone
and them got it. And
does
Julio and
not
them ain't
own a
getting ready to let
plane.
nobody come up in there messing with their money. Because Julio got 7 wives and 50 kids. He not gonna you not gonna mess with his livelihood.
Hmm.
Julio coming to clean up.
Here's the thing. I slightly disagree. Um, I think they I think they have a way to profit off of these other drugs. Um, I just think the problem is public opinion is stopping them from putting plans in the works to legalize the rest of them. Yes, it's taken them a long time to legalize weed and get that structure in place, but I'm sure they knew for a while. I think, again, with public opinion, yes, it was disproportionate, but at the same time, as it was disproportionate, you know, other racial groups were using it, and they were using it widely. And the more it became common, the more they was like, oh damn, now we really got to put this plan in place.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'm
that's true.
thinking I'm thinking, and this is my personal thought, that
Mhm.
they know how, they just don't have the support of public opinion. Now, when you talk about meth and you talk about all these other drugs that don't necessarily affect African Americans, um, it's strange to me as to why they would not find a way to uh, put that in place, because you know if you look at those that affect them and they get slaps on the wrist, this, that, and other, you pretty much telling me that you've partially legalized it when it comes to them. It's just not legal
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to us. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just a matter of getting the support of public opinion on their sides, and also getting the support from the manufacturers of these raw materials to
Yeah,
um support it. And you say, oh well, they got to get the scientists, this, that, and the other. They already know how to manufacture these things. It took a chemist to make meth. It took a chemist to make ecstasy. It took a chemist to do this. So they and if you, even if you go online, if you look up the chemical makeup of all of these drugs, is right there online.
it
It's
is.
just a matter of either the idiot is going to idiot in high school or college is going to get this formula and try to make it and kill a whole bunch of people till they get it right, or they're going to have the professionals in at Johnson and Johnson, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and all these other places to make it correctly. Because if you want to be real,
Yeah, you
morphine is a
do.
controlled substance. You get morphine in the hospital. You got morphine on the street. So uh
Mm-hmm.
they use cocaine in the goddamn. They've been using cocaine in hospitals for a long time for pain.
Yep. Yep.
So it it can happen. I just think they don't have public support to put it in effect.
Right. But also, you saying that the chemists are the ones that's gonna make it and blah blah blah. And you said make it right. So when you make Kool-Aid, how do you make it? Do you make it the right way, which is the instructions on there? Or
See
you
that's
put your own
see
twist?
see that and
Most
then
people go for that. They don't want the right way. That ain't what they looking for.
exactly, and that's what
They
I
want
mean.
that.
Yeah,
So
they want that.
yeah, they want
Yeah,
that. They want that.
and that's what I'm talking about. Because it's
So
like
I don't think that it is for me. I think that especially pre-existing drug users, they're not gonna want that clean high.
of course not.
That's not what they're addicted to.
Just like they
So
don't want that clean weed in dispensaries.
right, so I don't think that a majority of people are going to gravitate toward that. So again, economically, I think it would flounder.
I don't. I think the affluent people will
Yes,
go
the
for it
affluent people will.
because you talked about their image and they don't want to lose face, this, that, and
Mm-hmm.
the other. Okay, well now, damn, if I don't have to sneak around to get a line of coke, then
Right.
I'm gonna go to the dispensary and get my line of coke and call it a day.
Right. But a majority of the affluent people aren't the ones that are doing it. Again,
That we know
affluent
of.
people have money and means. They to escape their misery, they can take a trip.
And to get the real shit.
Exactly. They
In
can
Colombia.
yeah, exactly. They can take a trip and get as high as the Georgia pine and nobody over here will know about it.
And
And it'll
bypass all
still
the
be cheaper.
decriminalization in America.
Exactly. And it'll still
Hmm.
be cheaper.
But
So I really don't think that the other drugs going into dispensaries or whatever, I don't think it would take off. Um like everybody, and I do mean everybody, pretty much has this weed is not a bad thing. Even though people kept saying it's the gateway, I'm gonna tell you right now. I know people that smoke weed for 50 years. They ain't never want to try another drug. So I don't know how it got the gateway title, but yeah, no.
True.
I know
Um,
how it got that way.
I mean, I know the basis of why marijuana was made illegal in the first place. Period point blank is because they were saying that black musicians were using marijuana to get white women high and to sleep with them. And they made it illegal because no self-respecting white woman was going to just sleep with a black man. It had to be those little funny sticks that they was giving them. That is the basis of why it's illegal.
Oh my goodness.
And if you look it up and you actually read it, you gonna be like, for real though? Like this is really
Mm,
why they outlawed it in the very first place. And that law really never changed. Like
mm,
it literally said the devil's cigarettes that black men bring to white women so they can have their way with them.
mm,
And I remember when I first looked it up, I was like, oh, they tripping.
mm.
But it so many things have such a stigmatism because it is attached to our communities and the poor. And it's just it's crazy. So Robert Downey Jr., known dopehead. I think he's tried everything that has ever been manufactured. He is Iron Man. Iron Man. Now, you watch Criminal Minds, the very first one,
Mm-mm.
the black dude that was on there.
Mm-mm.
He was on there and he was doing great. He got he got pulled over for a DUI.
You mean CSI?
Yeah, what I say, Criminal Minds?
Yeah.
Yeah, CSI. He got pulled over for a DUI. They found cocaine in his system. We don't see his ass no more, do we?
Well, that's him. I don't know.
It's just the drug industry and it is made to look the poor and the less fortunate look terrible and the affluent look like they have a problem that needs treatment. I don't feel like it should be decriminalized because there's already that gap. But also decriminalizing it is only going to work with the people that the law says it's going to work with. Arkansas is an open carry state. Open carry. Guess who know they better not be called open carrying? They're not going to say, oh yeah, it's okay, go ahead, go on your way. They getting ready to make you stand there. They gonna run your name nationwide 2-3 times. They gonna want you to come down and let them search your car. They gonna want you're going to have to do all of these things that if somebody of a different race gets stopped at the very same time, oh yeah, let me check it out. Okay, you good to go. Watched it with my own 2 eyes.
Well, back to economic effects.
Yeah, back to that. It's not gonna work, King.
Um,
I don't think they can profit from it.
I also see a possible increase in cost of healthcare. I mean, that's not going to go away. Um, Solex,
Everything
what you
is
got?
a
What you got on that?
everything is an extra cost. Go ahead, son.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. There's definitely going to be an extra cost to it, but I don't think it's going to be as high as everyone think it is. Because again, if you look at just if you look at the statistics, thank you.
You and King with
We're
these
we're
words
already
today. I
paying
mean,
for it. You know what I'm saying? So it goes up, but it's not going to be a hell of a high bill than what everybody think it is. It's just going to be a little bit more of what we're already doing now.
Mhm.
agreed. I agree.
What about a reduction in criminal justice cost?
Mm.
Hmm.
I think it'll go down, but not by much. Because the thing about it is, yeah, your court cases and all that's gonna go down. I get that,
Mm-hmm.
but like we're saying with the healthcare, that might go up. So it kind of
Mm-hmm.
like it may balance itself out.
Um, for me, reduction in criminal justice costs, I look at it like this: if public prisons were still a thing, being
Mm-hmm.
that Biden wrote that shit out, I think that cost it balances out because those private prisons won't be able to profit, and the criminal justice system won't be plagued with these many cases for possession and use and stuff like that. But you still got to factor in they're still going to be getting fines and citations. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
the cost difference between the fine citations and the court cases or whatever the case may be. But let's just say you get a fine, you don't pay your fine, now you got to go to court. Get a
Mm-hmm.
citation, you don't pay your citation, you got to go to court. Hey, if you have a record or whatever the case may be, the judge might be inclined to say, hey, you're going to get a few days in jail, few weeks, few months, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So the reduction in criminal justice costs, I don't know. I'm not the expert here. I'm pretty sure somebody else knows better than me.
Hmm.
So what do you think, Phoenix?
I just I don't see it going down. I really don't. Um. Again, it goes back to me saying if you don't have a good, healthy fear of something to hold you back, I just really think that crime will be ridiculous, which means that's going to go up too.
Mm.
I
Good
just, I,
point.
I just really just, if you don't have a gate, a threshold I mean, think about it. When we were growing up, I ain't gonna do that. Why? Because my mama gonna whip my ass if I do that. If you have a nice, healthy fear of something, more people are less inclined to do it. I
Yeah.
think if we do this, I think that it's going to go up because again, I think that just the sheer crime will skyrocket if I know I don't have any consequences.
It's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out, though, for real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It really is. I picked a good night to come back. This is actually a good topic. I'm gonna have to go do a little research.
Yeah. So now we jump into prioritization of law enforcement. Um, Sun Solex, go ahead.
Redirecting law enforcement resources to prevent serious and violent crimes. I think in that regard,
It's the sigh for me.
It's gonna save some time and some effort. You know what I mean? Because if they're focusing on major crimes or larger crimes, then the little small stuff with the drugs, they're pretty much gonna ignore that to a certain extent.
Mm.
So maybe some things will finally get done as far as like your damn car getting stolen or somebody breaking in your house or something along that line. But I definitely think they're redirecting, those resources to
Um,
things that are actually important or more important will, serve those cities better.
I can see that.
mm. Um, I am at a loss with that one. I get what you're saying.
Hmm.
So let's just say, but then at the end of the day, if you redirect law enforcement resources to prevent serious and violent crimes,
Hmm.
um, that's going to me. It's going to take a lot more training, um, because now you have to focus on serious crimes. Because when you lump minor drug offenses into minor crimes, like for instance in Maryland, where they are having a uh, the public law commission or whatever the hell it's called, they're trying to take speeding ticket writing from the police and putting it into citizens' hands. Um,
Hmm.
Hmm?
yeah,
You see my look? I was like, what?
yeah. so so now look at it like this. If you are taking police from stuff like that, let's just say it's a minor speeding ticket, but let's say that minor speeding ticket turns into an assault charge because I got a goddamn civilian pulling me over talking about I'm gonna give you a ticket. You're gonna catch one of these tickets.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Maryland is tripping.
Yeah.
Now, who's to say a minor drug offense can or cannot potentially end up being a serious or violent crime? People get crazy about their drugs. So I mean, you might have that gram on you, and shorty over here want that gram. Be like, nah, this is mine. You might catch one of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it, but at the same time, how do you discern when or if that minor drug offense can or cannot be a serious or violent crime? Oh, and before I let y'all jump in, now let's just say you got a gram on you for use or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
You just use that gram. Now you hop in your car, whatever the
Hmm.
case may be. Hey, I just used the gram. That's legal. Now you drive down the street and you run somebody over. Now what?
Mm.
Good
That
point.
was like a whole new can of worms right there, though.
Yeah, it is.
Uh,
So,
I mean, are you
so
going to start
this is the,
issuing DUIs and DWIs for this?
of course, because this is the thing. If you're walking around with it, cool. If you riding with it, but the moment you start operating that machinery, it becomes a crime. You can get a prescription from your doctor and it says may cause drowsiness, do not operate heavy machinery. If
We know
you,
people do that shit
and they
anyway.
do it all
They
the
sure do
time.
now.
But this is the thing. If they hit someone, or if they run into another car, if they cause an accident, that is a crime. And they try to make those felony charges. And so I think that there's just so much crossover back and forth with it all. Like, when is it when is it a crime? When is it not a crime? It's not a crime for me to have it on me. It is, however, a crime to have it in my system and be operating this machine. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we know they don't care when they want they
Of
high.
of course not. So that's the thing. You're gonna decriminalize me having it for personal use. But you're not going to decriminalize me using it and then doing things I know I'm not supposed to be doing, i.e., driving a car. Those things are still going to be in place. That's
Yeah.
not me. Me being responsible is having it in my pocket on my way home to get high and not go anywhere else. Me being irresponsible is doing it and then getting into a car and driving down the street and wreaking havoc on citizens. Then that is a crime. So it's not a crime for me to have it on my possession. However, it is a crime for me to have it in my system and be doing certain things. It's not illegal to have alcohol, but as soon as you drink it and you drive, what happens? It becomes a crime, right?
Yeah. I just have to second what she's saying about that. That do make sense. It's one thing to have it; it's another thing to have it in your system.
Mm-hmm.
and
two different things.
Operate machineries and oh man, this. So if you buy a gram in Oregon, you're a pilot. you take that gram and you fly to California.
You're going to jail.
Yeah,
because you're transporting drugs across state lines.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you become a felon because you transported it in the air.
But if they decriminalize it, they really gonna have to tighten up with this whole concept. To me, they're gonna have to tighten up because, I mean, I can say, well, shit, I'm here on vacation. I just bought this while I'm here. Well, I just saw you cross state lines. It wasn't me. I just got this when I got around the corner. I mean, look, drug users, drug abusers, drug dealers, they are creative with their stories. Some can buy, some you can't. Some you be like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this nonsense. Some you's like, you know what, I'm gonna take you to the curb with it. So I mean,
that makes me think. Well, my uncle and my brother, they got their marijuana cards in California. They lived in California. They came home. They got on the plane with it just fine in California. When they came through in Arkansas and they got stopped, they was like, we don't care about them cards. We don't care about none of that. It ain't legal here. So yeah, y'all gonna have to, we gotta call the police. They called the cops, the real cops. And they came up there and they explained to him. They was like, well, this is my medical marijuana card. This is my prescription. As you can see, I don't have more than what my prescription tells me to have. They told him why they have it, pain management, blah, blah, blah. You know what they told him? Yeah, we don't care about none of that. We gonna confiscate that. And if you come through here again like this, we are going to charge you and take you to jail. But since you didn't realize you can't do that, we'll give you a pass today. So you can't take it into somewhere that is not doing that. Yes, sir.
They smoked the hell out of that shit later. Like,
of course they did. We got this right from Cali. They was high as hell eating them donuts at 1:00 in the morning. You hear me?
But wait. They decriminalized this. And even though it's disproportionate to us, how many of us, our people, are so idiotic that they use that, oh, I didn't know line, and they want to transport a gram of cocaine across state lines. Oh, I didn't know. It's decriminalized. And it's like, really? Mm-hmm. You've known for 30 years that you can't transport drugs across state lines. So help me understand why you thought it was okay.
And I think that the decriminalizing of it in the state is one thing, but to have I can take my prescription blood pressure medicine wherever the fuck I go.
Right.
Because it's a prescription. So if I have a prescription for whatever drug, I should be able to take that wherever the fuck I go. I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
you can't tell me this medication has been prescribed to her by her doctor because she needs it, and then I go somewhere else and they be like, we don't give a shit what you need over there. Over here, you can't have it. You can't do that.
This whole
Ethically, you can't do that.
this whole decriminalization thing is just I don't
Yeah.
know.
So
I don't know.
Oregon is the guinea pig state. We're gonna try this out in Oregon up here.
God, please don't bring that shit out here.
Well, the thing is, Oregon, the reason they're starting it there is because it's one of the highest opioid meth states. So they're trying to figure out what works. That goes back to, if we cannot curb addicts, let's see if we can find a way to reach them. The straight line approach doesn't work. So let's see if we can backdoor them and maybe we can reach the addict this way if we try it like this. I think it's going to be a monumental fail, me myself personally. But kudos for the thinking outside of the box for whoever thought, hey, why don't we try this? Why don't we decriminalize X, Y, and Z? Now, in a couple of months, when we see Oregon on the news talking about some flame hair boy is downtown Oregon setting shit on fire because he's high as shit, all he's going to get is an arson charge. That's it. He's not going to get the committing a felony while under the influence of a drug, which carries more time.
I can't take it.
I'm just saying. I just, my big lives in Oregon. I'm gonna have to call Kevin and be like, so this what y'all doing out there? Y'all keep that shit out there. We don't want that shit over here.
Please keep it out there.
But I just don't know. I would really have liked to been in the recipe room when they were throwing this around at the table, because if they feel anything like us three, I know it had to be some people in there talking about this asinine shit right here that y'all talking about is not gonna work. I know it was people in there looking like, do what now? Oh, this shit ain't gonna work.
I'm inclined to believe that the jackasses that thought this was a good idea was fucking high.
Of course. We have a saying here. So you sat down at lunch with monkeys and a bucket of crack and came up with this bullshit. Because that's what it sounds like.
Hold that thought there, if you would.
Yep. Yeah, I think that this should not be a criminal act.
Me. Let's do it. Yeah, got my vote.
And then Patty comes back in from the bathroom. Yeah, I agree. Exactly. And Patty comes in from the bathroom talking about, yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. I think so. Patty, you got a little bit right there. You didn't get it all. Oh, okay.
Wait.
Exactly.
That's a gram, right?
Hey, how much? Yeah, it's like this. They do this. This look like a gram. A little more. Here, let me get a little bit of that out of there. How about that? Yeah, okay. That's personal use. That's personal use right there.
Now wait, everybody. Let's make sure we can function throughout the day. So to make sure this amount is just right.
Just right. This is the perfect amount for personal use right here. This is it. Personal use. Oh, man. What do you mean, Deacon? You need some more? Hell, we're all high. Why do you need more?
Now, John, we said a gram. You're fucking up.
Well, hell, that gram didn't do shit for me.
Straighten your goddamn tie, brother.
Look, okay. While John is in there high as a kite, hanging all chandeliers, Deacon is in the back talking about so I don't feel nothing. That's the thing about personal use. You cannot, it's just different for everyone. I can drink a half a glass of wine and be good and tipsy. My best friend can drink a whole bottle of wine and still be functioning just fine. I need a nap by a half a glass. I'm straight. So
Yeah.
it's everything is different for everyone. Everything. So there is no such thing as enough for personal use.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me, especially with a drug. Especially with a drug. Like
Yeah.
that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Well, the cop said that personal use is a half a gram.
The fuck
Well, I'm a just
they gonna have a scale out there to measure it? Like, help me
right,
understand.
right. But then this is the thing. If I am a drug user and I have been using drugs for quite some time now, a half a gram ain't gonna do nothing for me,
Mm,
but piss me off. That's just the
mm.
bottom line. I might have 5 grams in my pocket and tell you, well, I have 5 grams because I can only take a half a gram at a time, and that ain't gonna get me through the day. So I'm gonna just do it in half grams like you told me I could, but I'm gonna have all 5 grams with me.
Can't take it.
I'm just like,
Um.
I just think it's asinine, and I think it's a terrible idea.
So, so what about the possible increase in violent crimes to fund drug use?
So if they legalize it,
Mm-hmm.
well, let me take that back. So if they decriminalize it, they think that it's going to be a decrease in crime. Come on, man.
That's what they
Now,
think.
now it is decriminalized, which means I have more access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Which means I need money. He's up there. He's at my mom's. Um, I have more access to it, and I'm not going to get in trouble for it. The problem is I'm a rock star, and I don't mean to kind of go on stage. I don't have no funds. So now I got to figure out how to get funds because this is in abundance out here at this point. So where am I going to get funds from? I can't get a job because,
I'm
even though
high.
it's decriminalized, I
I
got shit
can't.
in my system. I can't get a job.
And just because it's decriminalized doesn't mean everybody is hiring jokers that's using.
So my job, people have called and been like, hey, I have a medical marijuana card. You do require a drug test, and I'm going to show positive for marijuana. You can't work here.
But
Oh, well,
why?
you
I
can't
got a
do that because
prescription.
I got to put exactly what they said, and it's been 3 of them. You can have all the prescriptions you want to.
You're not
We
working again.
don't recognize that. But also, this job requires you to drive people. This job also requires you to be in people's home where their valuables are. And unfortunately, if you do any kind of drug, legal in your mind or otherwise, you have the tendency to get a little light fingers around stuff of value. You do. You just and it's not, and I'm not saying all drug dealers steal. I'm gonna say that if I'm making $11 an hour and I gotta have it, I'm gonna pick up this $150 that I see Miss Polly done tucked away in her Bible over here because that's 2 grams. I just don't see how they think that it's going to cut down on crime. I really don't. I really think it would increase. Especially I ain't gonna get in trouble. Mom, you better give me $50. And then next thing you know, it's a 911 call because Billy done hit his mama in the head with a hammer for $50. He needs that bump. Guess who ain't getting in trouble? Billy. That's exactly why Billy hit his mama in the head with that hammer, because he knew he wasn't gonna get in trouble. I think it's just gonna go bad.
Mm.
Yeah,
Son,
I have to agree with you on that point because again, if there are no consequences behind it, yeah,
yeah.
I could see crime going up definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's one of my gripes about this whole thing. I mean, I wouldn't I want to be in the room to hear this whole conversation go about because, you know, yeah, you decriminalize it. Now people are gonna be like, oh well, it's not a crime. I should be able to work here. No, I require you to be sober while you work.
Right.
Granted, there are a lot of people
You want
who
to come join
have
me?
jobs who have jobs
I'm
that
coming.
don't require you to take a mandatory drug test. You might have to take a pre-employment drug screening, but that's it.
Where's the podcast
Um,
bell?
and
Right.
they get, they get high and do this, that, and the other. Um, then you have to look at the fact that a lot of people are not responsible enough to say my job is more important than getting high. And unfortunately, disproportionately, it's a lot of our people who have that mentality. I want to get high. Well, what about your job? Oh, I'm gonna be good. Like, but it takes that one time where you say, "Oh, I'm gonna be good," and you mess up your job. Now you pissed off, talking about, "Oh, well, it's decriminalized." But are you supposed to be high while you're at work? That part right there. And then you touched on you know, certain people, you got to be, you in and out of people's houses, and you might get light fingers and this, that, and the other. And that's an
Mm-hmm.
expensive. That's also expensive habit. Then you got to take into account that a lot of these people out here who are already addicts, they already sold the microwave, they sold the
Yep.
TV, they sold their silverware. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? Let me sell my child.
Yep. Because
What's
they
going to
do
stop
that
that?
too.
What
They
is
already
going to
do
stop?
that.
I'm
They
saying they already do
literally
that.
already
So
do that.
so it's like, do you think that's going to limit that from happening,
Sell
or
their
is it going to
children.
happen more because people
Drug
can go
addicts.
out and do whatever and get whatever? I think it's a train wreck.
I think it's a total train wreck, son.
My thing
His
is
son
this,
so is.
like what else is there to try though? What else
Exactly.
that that's been effective? I think it's pretty much come down to them saying, you know what, F it, let's give them enough rope to hang themselves. Meaning, if this is what they
Hold on.
want, we can't
Hold on.
stop it, we can't control it, we can't direct it. So let's just open up the floodgates and see what happens. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. They're just waiting to see it unfold, which is a bunch of craziness.
I might be a little extreme on this, but the United States owns a lot of islands and isolated property. I'd say take those
The King and I Life
drug
podcast.
addicts and put them on these islands to where they have to live off the land,
You should be able to see it on
and they have
Facebook.
no access to stuff like this. Granted, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of plants out there in the world that people can get high off of. Um, but I, for me, decriminalizing it does not sound like it's
Can you
smart.
follow our page?
It doesn't sound effective. It just doesn't make good common sense to me. Um, and that that's just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to
King
me.
and I.
Well,
Are we streaming on? Where are we streaming at?
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Yeah.
so with that being said, uh, any other closing points?
Okay. My closing point is more of what Soul Toucher said, and more of what Sun Soul said. I don't see this being a win for anyone because at the end of the day, we are discussing drug addicts. Drug addicts are. You can sit by me and do it, boy. My, I think the biggest thing is no matter how lenient we try to be with them,
Mm-hmm.
they need the structure and they need the punishment. They need the consequences
Mm-hmm.
because unlike, well, not unlike anyone else, a child or a young adult, if there are no boundaries and no guidelines, they wild out. Um, as as an addict, if there are no consequences and there's no guidelines, they're going to wild out. I honestly think that if you decriminalize it, in a lot of ways, we'll have way more deaths, because I don't think they'll be as cautious. With it being criminalized, I think they're a lot more cautious as to not get caught versus, so what if I get caught? I'm gonna sit right here on this here bench and wait on the bus and smoke me a gram. It's also, yes, children are exposed to it, but if it's decriminalized,
Oh God, yes.
they will be exposed to so much more.
Yeah.
I
Again,
just
you
don't
touched
agree
on
with
that.
it. Yeah, I just don't agree with it. Society has gotten to the point where we expose our future, which is the children, to so much. I love you too. Um, we expose the children to so much, and we wonder why they're so twisted and they're not. eh, For me, growing up, there were so many things that I didn't know about until I was an adult. Drug abuse was one of them. Yeah, we might see, the local drug addict, but we didn't know what that was. We
Hmm.
had no idea. And another thing about the drug addicts, whenever I was growing up, they did everything they could to steer you away from their path.
Mm.
Don't be like old Joe, you know, old Joe, Joe out here and I'm just living. And then they would be, well, old Joe out here, we just existing. You make sure you grow up and live. You stay away from drinking and you stay away from drugs. You make sure you go to school. You need to get your butt to school. That's what I grew up with. The kids today, they're being they're being served up adult sized plates of life, and they don't get to be kids anymore.
Mm.
This is one of those things for me, is how I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. When we think about our kids, of course, we only want the best for them, but there's just so much being thrown at them nowadays with what they're exposed to with television,
Hmm.
news, um, movies, radio, podcasts. I mean, you name it, they have so much, you
Access
know.
to the bad stuff.
Yeah, and it's like with my child, I try to protect him as much as I can. Meaning, I know that there's going to be a point where I'm going to have to start breaking things down to him. Um,
Yep.
but as far as right now, I want him to enjoy what bit of his childhood he can,
Hmm.
because I know there's going to come a time and a day when I'm going to have to take the reins off, as they say, and
Yep.
show him, those dark things that go on in, unfortunately, our society.
Yep.
But I will say this for anyone who may have a drug addiction: um, the only thing that's going to change is you. No one's going to come in there and force you to go to these places, and then you get in there and all of a sudden you're better. It doesn't work that way. I'm totally with Phoenix when she says, it has to come down to you as an individual with your addiction. You have to be the one to say enough is enough.
Yep.
When you're ready to get some help and some real help, I think that's when people will apply themselves in the right direction. But until then, they can give all these drug rehab centers and programs as much money as they want, but if it's not working because the individual doesn't want it to work,
Yep.
then they're basically throwing their money in the wind, as they say. Your thoughts, Soul Toucher?
Yeah. I definitely got to piggyback off what both of y'all was saying. Kids these days and for the last what 20, 30 years been exposed to so much. When we were coming up,
Hold on one second.
um
Come here.
yeah, we saw this stuff going on, but
Hey.
at at this hi, um, but at the
Go ahead.
same
Love
time,
you. Later.
we
Bye.
were
Come
more
here.
shielded from it. It wasn't so much in our faces.
Right.
As the
Okay.
the FCC started being more lenient with what was put in music, movies, and television, um,
Yeah.
it definitely exposed a lot of people to it.
Mm-hmm.
It may have motivated people to try certain things. We can all say, yeah, they dumped it in our communities for this, that, and the other. Um, but I think a part of that problem is a lot of our people took that and perpetuated that ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, yeah, they threw it in there, but at what point do y'all say this is destroying our community? This is destroying our families. You know, you can only say, "Oh, he was such a nice kid," or "She had a bright." You can only say that so much, um, and I think decriminalizing it, in my point, it just opens the floodgate for more of that. And I do have a firm understanding that drug addiction is a compound problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to take anything from that, but for me,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have very little tolerance for it because being around it so much and the upbringing and the childhood that I have, yes, I could have easily been like, the hell with it. I'm gonna be an alcoholic, drug addict, this, that, and the other. But I had goals. It's in me to I don't want to lose everything over getting high. And I don't want them decriminalizing it to be something that encourages me to do it more. Um, but I just think that, again, that's a bad idea. And again, like y'all was saying, it takes that individual to say, I need to stop. And personally, I think some, not all,
Mhm.
some drug abusers and addicts, I think they're just fucking selfish. Um, not all, again, not all, because there are certain circumstances where something happened, blah, blah, blah. But if you consciously went out there and said, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that, I have very little sympathy. But I can be empathetic to all drug addicts and drug abusers and stuff like that. But to me, decriminalizing it, I don't think that don't sit right with me. It just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, it doesn't sit right with me. I'm not for that.
No.
That's a no for me. What I will say is this before we go. There are some individuals that are just made stronger. Um, there's a lot of things that happen in people's lives, and they can't choose to not crawl in a bottle because their psyche isn't strong enough. Um, Hi, Pea Pie. You about to go home, Thickums? Okay. Bye. Gigi, see you later. Good night. Love you too, son. Um, he said he love you too. So touching.
All right, love you too, dude.
um, but what I'm saying is, so touching. You said that you went through some things and you could have just been like, all right, forget it. I'm
Hmm.
gonna do drugs. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. But at the end of the day, you had at least one person that was a beacon for you.
Mm.
You had at least one.
Yeah.
I- I'm gonna say that because I know you personally,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna say you had at least one beacon that you knew you could count on. And even though back then you might have not understood or you might have still been struggling, you still knew that you had the love from someone that didn't want anything in return from you. Some people don't have that.
Yeah, that's true.
Some people don't have anybody. Everybody that they know is using and abusing them. And that is that is the base for most addicts because they have no one. And what happens to them usually happens at a very early age when they don't know how to process.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say some are selfish, yes, but we are all selfish in the same way they're being selfish. I want to be happy. I want to be at peace. And again, where they find that peace at is scary because some people find it in a bottle, some people find it in a drug, some people find it in sex, some people find it in relationships, some people find peace in the craziest of places, but most often not within themselves. And that's a hard thing to swallow when I can't find peace within me. I latch on to peace and I attach peace to other things.
Mm.
So I'm going to say this because it is such a stigma. A lot of us, poor and people of color, we suffer from PTSD from the way we were brought up. And because there's such a stigma with therapy, we don't get it. And a lot of times, if we turn to therapy instead of the drug or the bottle, we learn how to find peace within ourselves.
Mm.
But in the neighborhoods we grow up in, we don't have that. We don't have therapy centers. But we got a liquor store on every corner. We got a Tyrone. Um, no offense to anyone named Tyrone listening. That's just, I don't mean any offense. Um, not all
Oh
Tyrones sell
man.
drugs, but we have a drug dealer. So we have a drug dealer that is preying on our community one way or another. Either you're going to be my dope fiend or you're going to be my runner. But I'm going to prey on you regardless because someone preyed on that person and someone preyed
Mm.
on the person that got that person. Our
Mm.
community is dead and it is reproducing the same corpses because we are not stepping in and saying we got to fix this internally.
Yeah.
Instead of these liquor stores, I'm gonna tell you right now, my small hometown, we still have a boys and girls club. In the city that I work in, which is Little Rock, there's no more boys and girls club.
Mm.
Where are the kids going? Where's their safe place? Where's their structure? They
Don't
don't
be
have
taking.
it.
Don't be bringing up the other topic. We're gonna save all that for the other
Oh,
topic.
okay. But what I'm saying is an addict is an addict not because they're selfish in a way that it's just F everybody else. It's just their way of trying to find some peace for themselves.
Mm.
And anyone that is struggling with addiction, anyone that's listening, potentially to listen, my best advice is for you to find a therapist to help you struggle to help you struggle through because it is a struggle first. Struggle through the pain so you can get a good grasp on it so you can start to crawl out of your addiction. It's a forever strive and it is a hard struggle. But find that voice that you can hone into and listen to and let them guide you out of the fear that you have of that pain. And that's what I'm going in with.
Well said.
Yeah. Why you ran into a topic of ours that's coming up soon.
Hey,
It's all good
that's
though,
just that's just a
but
snippet
that's
of what we'll be talking about. So
oh
make sure
yeah,
y'all check back in.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, even though that was off the topic, that's real facts. We all have our own opinions and struggles and whatever else on that, but once again, thank y'all for tuning in. King and I Life podcast hosted by myself, Soul Touch of the Poet, and my two co-hosts.
Me-
I'll let you
Oh,
go, Phoenix.
your girl Phoenix is back on the rise, you know. You know, my name is Phoenix. I burned, but the Phoenix rises from the what?
From the
Your girl is
ashes.
here.
For sure. So this is Sun Solex, one and only. But we just want to thank you guys for tuning in with us. We know that you could be doing thing you want to, but you're here with us, so we appreciate it.
Very much so.
And like we always say, look, like, subscribe, share, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, uh, Patreon is still out there. Um, uh, Sunsoul X, go ahead and finish the rest of that.
And you guys can hit us up at KINGANDEYE369 at gmail.com. Again, that's King and I 369 at gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. If you want to come on the show, if you have a topic, you have an idea, let's chop it up, man. Let's do it.
Yes, indeed. And
Until the next time.
For sure.
we out of here.
Mm.